what's a process of team coaching look like? And so I wanted to share that perspective as well. And this is really the almost the last slide I have before we start preparing for the breakouts. And what I'm going to show you now is a process we would use, or we could use working with a team. Every team is different, and we wouldn't use this for every single team, but this would be one we rely on heavily, and it also uses the 6 conditions that we've just mentioned. There's 2 phases to this process. You can see the first phase on the screen now. And the first phase can happen relatively quickly within the space of 3 or 4 weeks. And so what typically would happen is that we would be invited in to meet a team by the team manager or team leader. And our first step working with the team is in this partnering. So we would meet with the team probably on something like a Zoom call for half an hour. And that's really a chance for us to explain the process of coaching to the team, a bit like what I'm doing now, but also to ask questions and ultimately to build some shared commitment to trying to do this together. Once we're through that and there is a level of shared commitment and engagement, we move into discovery phase. So along with the 6 conditions framework, Hackman and Wagman developed a diagnostic instrument. And so we can administer a survey to the team members that they complete, and we basically get a picture of the team according to the team effectiveness framework. And we can see where the relative strengths and weaknesses are in the team. The other thing we do in the discovery phase is we have one-to-one conversations with the people. So we build up a rich picture of what's going on in the team, what are the challenges they face, and you know, how are they sharing perspectives and how are they varying? What's the variation on their perspectives on what's going on and what the future might look like? And then we move into debrief and plan. So we'd normally meet with the team manager first for an hour or two, just to give them a little bit of insight and make them comfortable. But then we'd meet with the team for, say, half a day. And what we're doing in that debriefing session is we're really replaying back to the team the information we've collected. So what are the key insights we have from the diagnostic survey and from the one-to-one conversations? And then we're asking the team to start to make sense of that together. So we're not, I suppose, unlike a consultancy where we might kind of deliver, you know, here's what you should now do. We're very much trying to create the space for the team to step into their own learning, their own development, come up with their own ideas. So we're providing the framework and the information, but it's really a process that's done as much by the team as by us. And the end of that debrief is to come up with a plan. It sets the agenda for coaching, you know, so the team know where it is that they need to start working on. And they also know the impact that will have in terms of their team effectiveness. And that leads us into phase 2. And phase 2 involves really moving into a cycle of coaching sessions and team taking action. And so coaching sessions, we would normally do them over, you know, a coaching session could last anything from 2 hours to a day or a day and a half even we've done. Yeah, they're very interactive events. And I suppose metaphorically, what we're really trying to do is allow the team to move from what I would say the dance floor to the balcony, so that they can start to see how they are working and how they are working within the wider system, the organization that they're in, and with their stakeholders. And so gaining new perspectives and awareness, understanding each other's assumptions, having better conversations, coming up with ideas for what they could be doing differently together. And then out of those coaching sessions, they move directly into new action. And so after a coaching session, they would go away with a clear plan of what they're going to try and do differently. And then we would typically meet them, you know, 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later again for their next session. And that then would be around, okay, what have they tried? What's really worked? What's not worked so well? How can they make sense of that? Where's the learning in that? What's the next step? And so we would go through that cycle of reflection and dialogue and new ideas coming up in the coaching sessions, and then practicing action and results in between the sessions. And we might do 5 or 6 sessions over the space of 6 to 12 months. And sometimes we're asked, you know, what's the difference between team building and team coaching? And well, team building typically takes place over a day or a couple of days. One of the big differences with team coaching is it happens over a longer time, because what we're paying attention to is embedding really new ways of working. So deep patterns of how the team is working will be changing through the team coaching process. And they need time to be embedded. And then I suppose the other difference just to mention between team coaching and team building is team building might be working with some of the kind of relationships and the teamwork elements. But in team coaching, we're always keeping the focus as well on the task elements. So what is it that this team needs to achieve? And how is it going to start to work differently to achieve the outcomes it wants? So it's a mixture of task and teamwork that we're paying attention to in the coaching process. And then finally, the last step, I've called it reflection, but really that's about we you know, at some point we step back from the team and allow them to continue by themselves. And what we have been trying to do in the process of the team coaching sessions, as well as everything I've mentioned so far, is to start to impart the skills to the team to be able to coach themselves. So what we want to do is leave teams with the capacity to continue to have great conversations, to have the capacity to step back and reflect without needing to always have a coach in the room with them, and that they can continue their journey of development and adapt as new challenges come up. So that's really, I suppose, a picture of how we would apply the 6 conditions in practice and what that might look like.